Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, several big retailers have announced price cuts. We'll talk about the impact on inflation. Research shows that people born in the 50s and 60s are having more trouble getting a good night's sleep. And hear about a former Phoenix detective's trilogy of true crime books. That's next on Arizona Horizon.
This hour of local news is made possible by contributions from the Friends of PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Steve Goldstein in for Ted Simons tonight. Former President Donald Trump will be in Phoenix for a campaign stop Thursday, 1 week after his conviction on 34 felony counts in his hush money trial. Trump will appear at the Dream City Church in Phoenix for a town hall event hosted by Turning Point USA, a Phoenix-based conservative group. At the event, Trump will take questions from the audience. The focus will be on immigration and the economy. President Joe Biden has called for a quick ceasefire and end to the fighting between Israel and Hamas in the Gaza Strip, saying the militant group is no longer capable of launching an attack on Israel like the one on October 7th. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and far-right ministers disagree, saying that destroying Hamas will require continued Israeli military operations in the Strip. Dr. Anthony Fauci, the top U.S. infectious disease expert until 2022, was back before Congress today, calling Republican allegations that he tried to cover up COVID-19's origins, quote, simply preposterous. The Republican-led subcommittee has spent over a year probing the nation's response to the pandemic and whether U.S.-funded research in China may have played a role in how it started. Democrats said the investigation has found no evidence that Fauci did anything wrong. And Arizona families with children on the National Free Lunch Program and who receive food stamp benefits will get $120 extra this summer to help feed their kids. The Arizona Department of Economic Security and the Arizona Department of Education will be distributing the federal funds to qualifying families through a program called Sunbucks. The money will provide food for 600,000 Arizona children who otherwise may not have the meals provided by the program. Several big retailers have announced they're cutting prices, including Target, Walgreens, and Amazon. Also, gas prices are down. We take a look at that and its impact on inflation with ASU economist Dennis Hoffman. Dennis, good to see you.
Steve, great to be here with you.
So I'm going to pull the curtain back because we said I'm going to ask you what inflation is. I thought, come on. But Dennis, what is inflation?
Too much money chasing too few goods.
Okay.
And that's where this all began. It will continue as long as that's the circumstance.
Let's talk a little bit about Fed policy. What has the Fed been doing to really try to cool the extremes of inflation? And has it worked?
One tool, really, the Fed has. It's interest rates. And interest rates hit several sectors very hard. So they raise interest rates, so it hits housing hard, mortgage rates, especially in this environment when so many are locked into low rates. But high mortgage rates, high automobile loan rates. And why? What they're trying to do is cool the chase, right? Too much money chasing too few goods. So they're trying to slow down demand destruction, and hopefully bring about an easing in the rate of inflation.
How much more is the impact of inflation felt by the, frankly, fairly simple fact, it seems, that we are still a really consumer-driven economy? It's one of those that consumers, they're out buying things, and so consumers, even the perception, no question inflation has been rough, but has the perception of it made it seem worse because consumers are seeing certain goods like gas, like groceries, going up and saying, wait a second, this must mean the economy's not doing well.
It is painful, Steve, but part of the pain is the unevenness of the impact. So if you own your own home, or if you have a fixed mortgage rate at 3 or 3.5%, a big piece of this is shelter. You're sheltered from the negative impacts of inflation. If you're a renter, a commuter, getting by paycheck to paycheck and going to the grocery store and seeing high prices, it's very painful. Mm-hmm. So it's this uneven impact that's really difficult for some.
Why did inflation hit Phoenix harder than many other communities?
Well, a couple of reasons. First of all, we were more open than we didn't shut down as much as other places did, and that shut down, curtailed demand, and you had less demand. But so our demand kept pace, and people decided, both locally here and from afar, that Phoenix is a great place to live. And we don't have enough houses, as everybody knows. So that shelter component, that rental component, that house price component went bang. And that really fueled a lot of our inflation. We're a big commuter town. People tried to buy cars. Used car prices were up. Gasoline was up. Phoenix was the epicenter there for a while. But good news is here. We're in the twos.
Okay.
And it's going to get better.
I will get to that in a moment, but specifically with gas prices, how much does the way we get gas here, summer blend, et cetera, that's been a story for where we don't have our own pipeline, et cetera, how much does that affect gas prices here, at least, again, the perception of things?
Well, it's important, and especially the blend issue. Why we need a unique boutique blend for Arizona is beyond me. California certainly needs a blend. Why can't we use the California blend? Oh, maybe it's because we don't want anything Californian here in the state, right, Steve? But it's tough when you have a scarce, unique blend, and that's what we went through last year. Mm-hmm. Hey, gas prices are down $1 a gallon, so this is evidence of what happens when that blend is abundant, and we're fine.
Let's come back to the Walmart Target cutting prices. At what point?
You forgot Costco. I got chlorine there for $140. I haven't paid less than $200 for chlorine in years.
Costco gas, of course, people always talk about.
All right.
But when it comes down to these big retailers, at what point do consumers, well, I guess you're feeling with chlorine, but at what point do consumers really start to feel the downturn in prices?
Well, it's going to happen. Not having this sticker shock all the time when you go to the store will be part of it. But Steve, people ask me how much have prices gone up since 2019, and I'll say on the order of 30%. Oh, that's terrible. People can't afford 30%. Wages are up on the order of 25%. And remember this unevenness. I suspect that there's a number of people that are ahead today because their wages have gone up faster than their prices. Others are behind, of course.
I noticed you mentioned 2019. You didn't say 2021. So was this an issue before Joe Biden came into office?
Inflation was ticking up in 17, 18, and 19. I'm quoting Phoenix numbers here. The inflation rate in 19 was higher than it is right now in Arizona. And I'm talking in 24. It was on the order of 4% in 2019 here.
Okay.
Just looking at Phoenix CPI.
Yeah, we have a little time to flesh this out, but what are you anticipating going forward at the end of this year and going into 2025?
Prices are going to continue to moderate. Most of the concerns now, when you hear concerns on Wall Street, you hear the Fed talking, they're concerned about the economy slowing, perhaps slowing a little bit too fast. So expect interest rates will ease a little bit, inflation will come down, and then when we compare next spring, when we compare the little bump that we had this spring with next spring's lower prices, I think inflation is going to be at or below the Fed's target here in Phoenix in January or February next spring.
Unfair last question for you quickly. How much does inflation factor into you when you look at the health of an economy as opposed to, let's say, unemployment level, stock market, that sort of thing?
Right. Well, inflation is important. It's important because it's uneven. It really hurts some people really tough. Mm-hmm. But, it's unemployment's important. Stock equity prices are important. It's the whole array of things. Yeah. We had too little inflation, I would argue, in 2013, 14, 15. People talked about stagnant economies. Mm-hmm. And so the Fed tried to stimulate inflation to 2%. And then COVID came along and it was like jet fuel on a fire.
So much more to talk about, but Dennis Hoffman, great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Steve, thank you.
People born in the 50s and 60s are having a harder time getting a good night's sleep. Research by an Arizona State University professor shows that people born in those decades have 10% higher insomnia symptoms than those older than they are. Here to talk about his research is Dr. Connor Sheehan, an associate professor in the T. Denny Sanford School of Social and Family Dynamics. And Connor, I just barely escaped this, having been born in 1970. So tell me why people born in the 50s and 60s was intriguing to you and your partners.
Well, I've always been interested in how cohort processes, like how different generations act differently, behave differently. So with my co-author who studies midlife health, we wanted to see, are they actually sleeping differently? Are we seeing decade-based differences in sleeping patterns?
Okay. Did you also measure based on ethnic background, gender, all these sorts of things?
So we've done that in the past. In this case, we found that men in particular, men born in the 60s, they are sleeping particularly worse compared to previous generations.
Were you able to look at factors or make an educated guess on that?
Yeah, so we think that there are three main reasons that are driving this. The first is that this cohort was disproportionately impacted by the Great Recession. It's not only our research that has shown this, it's others that have shown that specific stressors related to the Great Recession negatively influence people born in that cohort, specifically those in the 1960s. The second reason why we think is that people born in the 1960s are increasingly involved in caregiving. They're not only taking care of their older adult parents, but increasingly, and what's really unique to this cohort is that they're taking care of their children and helping them get launched into adulthood. Taking care of your older adult parent or your kid, that takes time, that takes money, that it's stressful, it gets in the way of sleep.
So the sandwich generation thing, okay.
Exactly, the sandwich generation really influencing their sleep. And then the third reason is smartphones. So the silent generation, about 40% of them had a smartphone in 2019, about 60 or 70% of baby boomers in 2019, but 90% of Generation X had a smartphone. And smartphones are incredibly addictive technologies that you can just scroll all night, hold a bright phone up to your face, you bring work to bed with you. So for all these reasons, those three main reasons, we think they are sleeping worse.
I think there's probably more conversation now generally about how important sleep is to our overall health. Do you think that's the case, or are we more enlightened on that, thinking about, okay, well, let me try to relax a little bit before I go to sleep, or maybe not use the phone as much, that sort of thing?
I think people are aware of how important sleep is for their well-being, but also, I mean, we have the most addictive algorithms in human history literally in the palm of our hand. We can watch Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, so that'll keep us up. And, I think that kind of outweighs what we know about sleep. And another thing is, if you're worried about sleep, it's harder to sleep.
Well, I was even going to ask you if there's a measurement of whether one gets consistent, continuous sleep. So let's say if one were to get 7 hours, but it's straight through, is that better than maybe being in bed for 8.5, but you're still on your phone, it's not restful when you start. As people get older, they have to go to the bathroom at some point in the middle of the night as well. Are all those factors, I mean, like, again, how important is, let's say, continuous sleep as opposed to other aspects?
So I haven't looked into this, but I think whatever is working for you is best. Sleep as much as you can. If you have to go to the bathroom, what are you going to do? You have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. All right. So what advice, if someone were to come to you and say, I'm addicted to my phone, but I really want to sleep more, any just obvious advice you'd give?
I would say, welcome to the club. I'm addicted to mine. It keeps me up at night. But the advice that I would give, and the advice that's been so hard for me to take, is to not sleep with your phone in your bedroom. You can sleep with it in another room. If you have it, you're going to get the notifications. You're going to read emails that are stressful. You're going to fall asleep watching social media. So if you can put it in another room. And I know people are going to say, well, I use my phone as an alarm clock. Well, you can buy an alarm clock.
Yeah, but also, very briefly, what if someone is more stressed because they're thinking, well, wait a second, if I get an emergency call in the night and my phone's in another room, what am I supposed to do?
That's a good point, yeah. I guess have it on loud, but make sure you can get the emergency notifications, but you don't want those emails or to fall asleep watching TikTok.
So briefly as we close, you were not born in the 50s and 60s, but do you find that some of these same things, you mentioned the smartphone, do you find that you sleep pretty well, or are the stressors getting to you sometimes too?
Well, I appreciate you asking. I mean, I think about sleep all the time, which makes it difficult to sleep. But I will say I'm very worried about younger people's sleeping patterns, particularly people in the college generation, 18 to 24. They're increasingly working in the gig economy. They are on their phones more than anyone else. They are drinking energy drinks. They are very stressed. So I'm very concerned about their sleeping patterns.
Okay. Connor Sheehan, thanks for being here. We appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
Sergeant Darren Birch may be a familiar name. The retired Phoenix police sergeant spent years talking about silent witness cases on TV and radio in hopes of catching crooks. He's turned all of that knowledge into a trilogy of true crime books called Twisted But True, books 1, 2, and 3. The true stories come from his days as a patrol officer, sex crimes detective, and homicide detective. And here now to talk about his books and other things, Darren Birch, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Steve.
So some of the stories, I had a chance to read a few of them. These are some pretty interesting stories. So how many of these were taken from your experience as an officer and some of the experiences some of your colleagues had?
Yeah, 100%. When I was at the end of my tenure as a cop for 30 years, I was a silent witness sergeant, like you said, and I was doing a radio show on KDKB, and we would talk about the crimes of the week and so forth, but they always wanted me to go into stupid suspect stories afterwards, which was the win-win for them. And I didn't trust the internet, so I wanted to kind of tell my own stories, my own stupid suspect stories, but I found that there's more dumb Darren dilemmas than anything else. So I had a black cloud that kind of followed me. So there's a lot of funny stories. And when I was preparing for the radio show, I kind of bullet pointed. One day I'm coming out of the radio station and a guy comes up and says, "Oh, you're Sergeant Birch, I love your twist but true tale, blah, blah, blah." And he said, "You should write a book." And after I made a joke, there's not enough crayons in the world for me to write a book, I thought about it and I liked the idea of when I retire, giving back to Silent Witness. So it was written as a fundraiser, and I used those bullet points as a platform for the stories. And so each book has 30 stories. The first book was really predominantly my patrol years for a 30-year period.
Okay.
And then the second book was my detective years, and then the last 10 years, if you will, the detective sergeant. So it's pretty much the spectrum.
It's kind of heartening to hear you say there are a lot of stupid criminals out there, because we all worry about these master criminals who are going to do things. But have you found that those stories are the most compelling to your readers, the ones that, to some extent, maybe they're a little scurrilous, but also ones that can make them laugh a little bit?
Exactly right. Stupid suspects help cops do their job. We get to catch them so much easier. So those ones always stand out, and they are funny. And I think with the profession, we need to humanize it and have fun ourselves, and even the suspects at times.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question just based on all the years of experience you had. I don't want to say it was the most rewarding, but it feels like Silent Witness would have been something that was just so incredible because it was really connecting to maybe folks who weren't quite often thinking about law enforcement, but would really say, hey, here's your chance to really help the community.
Yeah, it's a perfect community-based policing program, really, when you think about it. It's literally the community helping you solve crimes, and then the money, which is a nonprofit, provides that reward mechanism, goes back out to the community. So it's just one of those perfect programs, and it helps keep cold cases alive, because many times cold cases literally become cold. And when we started losing police officers in terms of the economy, Silent Witness was needed more than ever.
Yeah. So, Darren, how important is the community connection for officers to do their jobs well? Because we know there are certain communities that are not, let's say, as trusting of officers as they can be because of some background they've had, and others obviously think, boy, the first thing I want to do is call the police because I know they're going to do the job. How important is it to try to find that balance in such a diverse community as ours?
Great question. Community-based policing is the key to successful policing, and our partner has to be the community. It can't be an us against them. 9/11 did a lot of bad things, obviously, but one of the bad things happened is police kind of became a little bit more tactical, less community-oriented, more of us against them. And not that it was anybody's fault, it was just the nature of the business, unfortunately. And I think we're back to a good place, a paradigm shift towards community-based policing like we had in the 80s. So I see good things going ahead.
So we've got about a minute left. What's next? I mean, you have a trilogy of books, but I'm suspecting you may have some other stories you haven't told yet.
It's funny because I am so glad you asked that. We're now making a feature film with a major studio. I can't talk much about it, but I will in the future. And I've been doing some TV like ID Channel, American Detectives, Oxygen, Snap. So it's been a fantasy discovered in my retirement years.
Well, you've also been doing some podcasting too. I'm a fan of podcasts. So
I have. I was very fortunate. I met Dave Pratt, and he put me and Jason Schechterly together. Isn't a more inspirational man on the planet. And we did a podcast for about 5 years. It became a TV show, and that prompted the Hollywood look at my book. So yeah, it's been blessed.
Well, good luck. Darren Birch, thanks so much for being
you.
here. That is it for now on Arrows on the Horizon. I'm Steve Goldstein in for Ted Simons. Enjoy the rest of your evening.